What's up, everybody? This is Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. Man, there's a lot to get to as we enter what's going to be a really wild week with Arkansas football. Arkansas football's got a lot of stuff to fix. We're going to go over some of the rumor stuff that's going around and maybe talk about some of the stuff that's factual. We're going to talk with Danny West about the latest in recruiting, Curtis Wilkerson, because there's plenty of basketball stuff to discuss as well. All that and more on today's episode of Hog Sports Live. Hey, I just wanted to mention, everybody, today is the last day of our big 75% off promo, Cyber Monday. Everybody's got a big special. So if you haven't checked out the site, today is the day to do it. Today's the day to do it. We've actually are leading the network right now in new signups. We have hundreds of fans sign up for our special deal at Hog Sports. So just to break it down, Hog Sports is the number one independent source on Arkansas sports and recruiting and has been for a number of years now. And we're 75% off. It's the best offer we have. It's the best offer we ever do. It's $26.85 for the entire year. So that breaks down to $224 a month, 52 cents a week, and only 7 cents a day for unmatched Insider Razorback coverage. A lot of interesting stuff going on in our premium message board, the Razor's Edge, right now. This deal ends at 11 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Monday. That's today, 11/28/22. Okay, there's no promo code or anything. Just go to HawgSports.com and you will see the banner ad right there, and you can click that and you'll get the deal. So if you've ever wondered if you like the stuff that we do on Hog Sports Live, or you like the walk and talk, or you've ever wondered how to support the things that we do like that, some of the free content that we give out, you should really go check out HawgSports.com. That's our baby. That's where all the good stuff is. See what we have for our members at the VIP subscription at Hog Sports. You'll be glad you did. Just go check us out. That's pretty much it. People ask me all the time, like, how do we support some of the stuff you do, Trey? We like this or that. We like reading the free content. Go sign up for a VIP subscription. 7 cents a day. And then go find something that gives you more enjoyment and more satisfaction throughout the day for 7 cents. I'd love to hear it. Post in the comments below if you got something for 7 cents a day that gives you pretty much all day satisfaction like Hog Sports will. All right, go check us out. HawgSports.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. There it is one last time. Guys, I'm not even sure where to start today. I mean, we're all over the place. There's so many rumors going around. Everything from Kendall Browse to South Carolina. Kendall Browse is going to stay at Arkansas. Kendall Browse is the candidate for Florida Atlantic, for Texas State, for Liberty, if that job opens up with Hugh Freeze. Tons of crazy stuff going on at Auburn also, up and down over there with their coaching search. Barry Odom, he's going to stay or he's going to go. He's the lead candidate at South Florida or Texas State. Tulsa's even been mentioned for both of those guys. If Browse leaves, Dow Loggins the offensive coordinator. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff like that. There's dissension within the team. There's a culture problem. I've heard stuff with the offensive line. I've heard stuff with the defensive secondary, and not just players in backup roles, but starters, key players. Dissension. There's not the bond that there was. Pittman's the problem. Pittman's not the problem. It's all over the place right now, and we're trying to sort it all out, but it is going to be a absolutely wild week. Right now we know that Arkansas is in a dead period, and the reason they're in a dead period is because of something that Sam Pittman suggested when they were coming up with the portal window, and that's to have a dead period before all this stuff gets going on Monday, which I'm going to call Meltdown Monday, because that's what it's going to feel like. Right now, at this moment, Sam Pittman's having exit interviews. I guess you could call them exit interviews. He's having one-on-one meetings with every individual player. There's a lot of stuff going on. This player's out. This player's out. And there's going to be a ton of them. There's going to be a ton. It's going to feel crazy to you, and it should, because it's new, but it's the new normal college football 2022. There's teams all over the country dealing with this right now. And with all the stuff coming out about, there's toxicity and all that stuff, I think that's probably going around all over the country. And I think it's also easier. I'm not saying anything's not justified. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is I think it's easier for a player to express his disappointment or his frustrations, because in a month he could be working out with another team and getting ready to play next season. Before, in the olden days, you didn't have any other options, so you might as well keep your trap shut. I just think it's easier this day and age of college football because you can just bounce. We've already seen Warren Thompson's left, James Joyner's left. Miles Slusher left. That was a real surprise, disappointing, obviously, for him to leave right before the last game. And they're not the last ones, obviously. There's going to be plenty of other players leave. Plenty of others. And then there's going to be a lot come in. I would say to people, hold your meltdown until after like January 15th when you know who you're getting. Because right now it's coming up for transfer out time. And then for 45 days, it's going to be some transfer in stuff. There's going to be a lot of visitors and stuff from other schools, and you'll really get a better grasp of your roster. And it's not anymore about we got a hole here we got to fill. It's about, is this third string guy better than this guy? Because we might have to say goodbye to this third string guy. And this is the way it is now. Loyalty is gone in college football 2022. That's over. This is what everybody asked for. Players getting paid. Players can immediately transfer wherever they want. And this is where we are now. So if you're not cutting it, you got to get out. You got to go. There'll be plenty of players that are told, hey, it's not working out. And there'll be plenty of players that want to leave or are disgruntled. I mean, I've heard everything. KJ Jefferson is going to Auburn or Ole Miss, or Jalen Catalon's doing that, or, just everything. And again, these are all rumors not to be taken seriously right now. What you should take seriously is there are going to be a lot of players that are leaving this program. We've broken down the scholarship deal, and if there is a problem culturally with the locker room, is it it's and from what people say, it's like not a surgical thing. It's just like they got to cut out a lot of things, and that's just stuff that happens in year 3. I'll say this about Sam Pittman. The first 2 years, I never heard a single word of toxicity coming out of the locker room. Not a single word. And from when Chad Morris was at Arkansas, it was almost day one I started hearing that. The offense doesn't like the defense. The young guys don't like the old guys. These coaches don't like those coaches. All kinds of stuff like that. And I never heard that with a Sam Pittman coach team, but there's been stuff lately that has been popping up more and more. And you also have to keep in mind you're in the wake of a 6-6 season. And that's going to fuel that also. Nobody likes losing. So they got some things they got to figure out. Assistant coaches, are all the assistant coaches going to be retained? I just mentioned the coordinators, but, there's a lot of coaches on this staff. Obviously, we know Jamil Walker has been gone. To me, that doesn't sound like – I've covered a lot of coaching changes with assistant coaches, and typically how it goes is, hey, go try to find another job. We'll make this nice and easy, a transition like you left and you went and found another job. We see that happen all the time. This was just a firing right after the game, which tells me this is more like a, hey, you got to go. You got to get out of here. I don't care how you do it, just go. That's what that feels like. So that's obviously lends to a little bit more. There's some problems in the inner workings there with Arkansas, and Sam Pittman saw a need to make an immediate change there. Now, who are candidates to replace Jamil Walker? Kiero Small is probably a good one to keep an eye on. You guys remember Kiero Small, Arkansas fullback. He's been at Michigan. I think he's listed as associate director of strength and conditioning, something like that. He's like the number 2 guy there under Ben Herbert. So he would be a guy to keep an eye on. There's a guy at Missouri who's like director of player development. He was strength and conditioning coach at Auburn. Ryan Russell, I believe is his name. That would be another guy to maybe keep an eye on. But there's going to be a lot of guys interested in this job. Obviously, it's a big-time job. Jamil Walker was making $425,000 a year with his latest raise. So it'll be a highly sought-after job. So right now, like this show's going on at 1:24. So right now, there are interviews going on with players about their future with the Arkansas football program. And usually this doesn't really occur until, a little bit later. But with a new calendar, with college football 2022, everything's changed a lot. So take everything with a grain of salt right now, but there is a lot of stuff swirling around, and it seems like the same stuff. For everything you hear about, this coach is a problem, you also hear, well, it's actually the player that's a problem. There's a mirror to everything. There's 2 different versions to every story. And we're going to find out when this dust settles, we're going to find out a lot more about this program. Sam Pittman knows he's in do or die territory. All right, he's coming up on year 4. They just won 6 games. It wasn't as pretty as it could have been. They just won 6 games. They didn't win any close games outside of the Cincinnati game. They obviously struggled in some certain areas, particularly at the goal line, and also struggled really on defense. They were way worse on defense this year than they were last year. The transfer portal can be the great equalizer for a roster, okay? Where what you may have lacked in the past in terms of having recruits in your immediate backyard that you can just draw from every year, like a lot of the power programs have. Like a lot of people think that, some of these programs that have historically been good are, doing things a certain way. The truth is the talent is right there. Like look at Ohio State, for example. Ohio State pulls from Ohio. They pull from Michigan. They pull from Pennsylvania. I mean, they've got some pretty strong neighboring states also, in addition to being Ohio, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Texas. These schools, the talent is right there for them. Arkansas has always had to go a lot further. This is something that can equalize things a little bit more because these guys have been told you're so great, you're all this, made all these promises to, and all that kind of stuff when they were recruited out of high school, and now they know what they want in a football program. We saw Arkansas do a pretty good job last year, a dang good job in the transfer portal. Look for that to kind of double this year in terms of guys that they go after. I would expect a doubling of – they brought in 9 last year. I would expect at least a doubling. 29-27, not going to get my thoughts about that game. Haven't changed that much since the walk and talk. If you missed that, go back and watch it. Arkansas basketball plays Troy tonight. 7 o'clock. You can watch that on SEC Network. Kevin Fitzgerald and Pat Bradley calling that one. Good old Pat Bradley. It'll be fun to listen to. I want to tell you guys about my friends at OzarksGo. If you're somebody streaming the game who likes to stream everything, OzarksGo is fantastic internet service. You can go to OzarksGo.net/hog. That's HAWG, and go to the check availability graphic and see if they're available in your area. But I would think north of the tunnel in northwest Arkansas, northeast Oklahoma. If you get an Ozarks electric bill, then you can get OzarksGo. I've been disappointed with my last 3 internet service providers for various reasons. OzarksGo came in one day, 17 months ago, installed everything, and I haven't thought about them since. I haven't had to unplug and replug. I haven't had any internet downtime. Haven't had any arguments with my wife or daughter over why the internet's not working. Honey, I don't know. I can't figure it out. Getting frustrated. You know how that stuff is. Get away from that. Go to OzarksGo.net/hog. OzarksGo.net/hog. They offer 100 megabits per second up and down, 1,000 megabits per second up and down. Both those are tremendously fast, just depending on how much you need. This right now is being streamed to you in 1,000 megabits per second. It's what I use because I upload a lot of stuff, and it goes up and down. And if you ever have any kind of question, you can call them at 479-684-4900 and talk to one of your neighbors. Not some call center off in some other country. You're going to talk to somebody around this area who's got a similar accent as you. Some old Southern boy. Let me see if I can help you with your internet. That would be different. All right, everybody. OzarksGo.net/hog. Trey Biddy stamp of approval. Not that there's any problem with accents. I don't mean that. But I just mean, somebody from around here. You might end up talking Razorbacks with somebody. All right, we're going to switch over to Danny West. Danny's going to get us updated in the latest in recruiting. Obviously, plenty going on there coming up here. I mean, there's just like 2 recruiting cycles, basically. You got the transfer recruiting and then high school recruiting. What's up, Danny?
What's up, man?
Oh, not much. I think I went over every single rumor that's popping around out there just to kind of cover the whole thing. So what do you want to talk about?
Yeah. Boy, it's been something, hasn't it?
It has.
It feels like it's already started, and really we're not even close yet.
Well, there's already – I don't want to enter the transfer portal on HawgSports Live for a bunch of people, but, I mean, there's already discussion on our premium message board, the Razor's Edge, from – we have got a lot of insider posters who – have connections and stuff, and they're posting stuff about, hey, this guy's right now cleaning out his locker. This guy's having his meeting right now with Sam Pittman. I've been encouraging everybody to come follow that along with us, but they need to sign up for our 75% off deal, which is 7 cents a day. So
I agree with
absolutely
that.
do that.
I tell people all the time, you're not just signing up for Trey and Curtis and me and Andrew. I mean, so many of our posters, man, they've got so much insight, well connected to people inside the program. So that's reason enough. If I wasn't working for you, shoot, I've proven that. I was already a subscriber. So
yeah, you were. That's right, Danny. A lot of key recruiting dates happening right now. Yeah, sorry. Can't get through my own.
Yeah.
So
let's jump into that, man. We're looking for official visitors. Of course, we started a 4-day dead period today. So the 28th, Monday, starts the 4-day dead period. Coming out of that, on Friday, you start the contact period. So what does that mean? For people who don't keep up with it, that means coaches can then be out on the road seeing and conducting these in-home visits as they do every year. So looking forward to that this weekend, as well as 3 official visitors that we're aware of so far. There's 23 committed guys for this 23 class, and 20 of them have already used their official. There's 3 that haven't, and they're going to finally get that opportunity this weekend. That's Malachi Singleton, obviously your quarterback commitment out of Georgia. You've got Joey Sua playing for the 7A state championship Friday night. So good luck to Joey and Bentonville. Of course, good luck to Bryant, too. We're fans of them, too. But should be a good game there. Then he'll be on campus Saturday to start his official. And then Jaden Ham, tight end out of Eudora, Kansas. Been committed for a really long time now, over a year. So good to finally get Jaden on campus, I guess. Then, of course, next week, Trey, we put this out last night, got some insight on Andrew Armstrong, a transfer target. There's the first one. So Andrew Armstrong, a wide receiver target, going to be on campus really soon. We've got a story there on HawgSports. But wide receiver out of Texas A&M Commerce. He blew up this year, had a really, really big year, over 1,000 yards. I want to say 13 touchdowns. So be on the lookout for him, not this weekend, but next.
And it's a really important deal, too, that they had this 4-day dead period, just because you're going to have recruits on campus, right? I mean,
yeah.
So you want to make sure you don't have guys that are thinking about
the
bouncing,
the better, man.
Interacting with your recruits. So,
man, if it were me, if I were Pittman, and it sounds like he maybe did make some decisions on the plane on the way home night, but man, I would have started those visits as soon as I got on the plane. I mean, you can't do it soon enough. You're looking for that final number, and it's really tough to know until you sit down and talk with 100 kids. So,
Danny,
I would imagine that's going pretty well for him right now.
I actually thought that today was going to be a pretty wild day as far as one guy, tweets, like not wait until Meltdown Monday next week, December 5th, but today just going ahead and saying, hey, my intention is to enter the transfer portal. Or is it just going to be because we've got a lot of interviews going on today with players that, they're going to set their stuff up? And I was going to go through the roster, just kind of talk, just look at some guys. But I would, anybody that's been on campus a couple of years that isn't like making a push for playing time, I mean, I would say that's a pretty good indicator that unless the coaches just feel like, man, this guy's got a real, a whole lot of upside, I would say that, there's going to be some change. If you've been on campus for a couple of years.
There's too many of those, Trey.
Yeah,
there's too many of those. And sorry to cut you off, but just thinking about this class the other day, somebody asked me, I did a radio spot for somebody, and somebody said, what's the difference between this year and last year? And I said, I feel like they wasted fewer spots, fewer scholarships in this year's class as opposed to a year ago. And that's not me being mean or, facetious or anything to any of the guys, but we know it. People that follow this stuff know it. There's a handful every year that as soon as they get on campus, it's an uphill battle. They're probably never going to do a whole lot. We all see it coming, and most of them get out of here really quickly nowadays, it seems. But you got to limit those, man. There's just been too many of those types.
Yeah. The latest stuff that we're hearing with bowl stuff is there was some talk of Vegas, which is December 17th. But the latest stuff I've been hearing is Texas Bowl, which is December 28th. And I've heard Liberty Bowl, which is also December 28th. Either of those would be
there.
I would prefer actually Texas just because it's in a dome.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be warmer.
In a dome, and it's
going to be warmer anyway.
Houston.
Yeah,
that's right.
Liberty Bowl has a chance to be very cold, but what I like about the date is with the signing period, I mean, you got December 17th is not a good time to have a bowl with all the recruiting stuff that's going on, because you got the early signing period on December 21st. So to me, Las Vegas, that would be the last choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Recruiting, obviously, I see everything through a recruiting lens.
Right.
So I would take whatever is most convenient for recruiting, not just your 23 signing class, because I think most of the work there, unless there's huge surprise there, I think most of it's in the books there already, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But man, some of these transfer targets, you don't want to be missing out on them just because you're going to play
exactly
Utah State or somebody.
Exactly. Man, it's going to be so wild. How many? Like, if you could just guess, Danny, how many guys you think are going to be moving on in terms of transferring, not like giving up football or something like that, but just in terms of leaving the program for transfer?
Well, initially I was thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 15-ish, but after going through the roster the other day, I think you and I kind of talked about scholarship distribution, whatever day that was. Man, I could find more than 20 that would make sense, and that's the thing to remember too. I want to mention, it's going to feel like the sky's falling, when all these names start coming up. But a lot of these guys, man, like we just talked about, some of that's good news, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you're also you run. Yeah, there you go. Drink.
Yeah.
There's got to be like also some concern though, like if players who are starters, because there's a lot of rumors going on about like this guy doesn't like that guy kind of talk, Yeah. And I mean, there's even rumors about KJ going to different SEC schools and stuff. Like if you lose your starting quarterback and he's not looking over his shoulder at the next guy, there's a real problem. Yeah. There's a real problem. But not just there's all kinds of rumors going around, of course, like there always is. But like there are obviously a lot of starters. If you're losing a lot of starters who aren't like looking over their shoulder, then to me that's a real concern. And we'll find out soon if some of these crazy rumors are, have any legs.
That's right. Yep. It's coming soon.
All right, Danny. Anything else you want to chime in with?
No, that's it, man. Check the site this weekend. Should have full reports throughout the week, really, on any transfers, setting up any official visits. I look for that that's going to be the study here for the next, couple of weeks, it seems like.
Sure is. All right, Danny. Appreciate you, brother.
We'll see you.
All right, everybody. That's Danny West. Again, follow Danny at Danny West 24/7 on Twitter. Does a fantastic job covering Razorback recruiting for us at HawgSports, and has been doing so for – I can't even remember how long, over like 12 years or something, might be more than that. So if you want to read Danny's stuff, all his recruiting stuff, and it's about to get crazy. Like this sale couldn't come along at a better time. It's 75% off, HawgSports.com. If you ever thought about joining or like wondering, or maybe you hear stuff like, this is the wildest one. Like I hear you can get everything through Twitter that you get there. Like if you enjoy sifting through the trash and just trying to figure out what's real and what's not real, then keep doing that, I guess. But if you want some real information and you want to see us like do some real looking, real breakdowns and stuff and talk to some real insiders. I mean, some of our posters really know what's going on in this program on the Razor's Edge Premium Forum. Then go check us out at HawgSports, HawgSports.com. Aside from that, the entertainment value is top notch too. I mean, you can get addicted. I'm not saying like jump on and get addicted, but you can get really addicted. I'm addicted to it, and it's my job. But it's 75% off for the number one independent source on Arkansas sports and recruiting that breaks down to $224 a month, 52 cents a week, 7 cents a day for unmatched insider Razorback coverage. It ends at 11 o'clock tonight, Central Standard Time. That's Monday, 11/28/22. No promo code. Just go sign up. I want to get to... Let's look at this distribution chart. I was going over this earlier today. So there's going to be players off this list that are leaving. I mean, obviously, we're watching Malik Hornsby. The guy entered the transfer portal a year ago. Okay? The situation's been kind of weird throughout the season. But KJ Jefferson, Malik Hornsby, and then Malachi Singleton joining, that's your only quarterbacks on scholarship right now. I think we can say it's a pretty safe bet that they're going to explore the transfer portal for another quarterback, regardless of KJ Jefferson's been some talk about him going pro, obviously, also. I don't know that that's the right move for him, just based on how this season went. I think he could really benefit from another year, but that's not how it always works out. Obviously, we've already seen some movement at running back with James Joyner moving on. Dominic Johnson, A.J. Green, Raheem Sanders, Rashad Dubinion, Isaiah Augustave coming in. Jaden Hazelwood is obviously a guy to watch just for, pro. Is he going to turn pro or not? There's plenty of other guys to keep an eye on this list. I mean, guys that have been here a couple of years that aren't playing. Landon Rogers will be a guy that's been here. It's not playing a whole lot. Jaden Wilson. I think Jaden Wilson's got a nice future here. Those are just a couple that have, they've been here. I'm not saying they're like, look at these guys to transfer. I'm just saying you look at guys that have been on the roster a couple of years and haven't really pushed yet for playing time. Micah Tease and Devon Dozier are committed right now. Trey Knox, what's he going to do? Is he going to look at the next level? We're expecting Hudson Henry that this is his final season, that he'll move on. He's graduated already. Then there's some others like Colin Sutherland, Aaron Outley. Those guys have been here a couple of years now. There's been all kinds of rumors about the offensive line, but there's several guys to look at here that have been here a couple of years. I mean, there's 17 players if nothing changes on the offensive line moving ahead. Defensive end. I don't know if I say anybody just jumps out on the defensive line like this guy. I don't know, because you're either got guys playing or you got guys that are younger. I'm not sure anybody just jumps out off the page. Defensive tackle, kind of a similar deal. I mean, what's Torian Carter going to do? I assume he's going to come back, but you never know what's going to happen. Marcus Miller hasn't played a whole lot since he's been here. He's going to be a senior next year. I don't know. Isaiah Nichols and Terry Hampton both have the option to return as super seniors. Those are things to watch. So there's a lot of things to watch also in terms of these decisions, not just transfer portal stuff, but where a guy might decide if he wants to come back for football for his last year or not. What's Drew Sanders going to do? I think Drew Sanders probably going pro. He had a hell of a year. I think he'll probably end up going pro. Obviously, Bumper Pool's eligibility is done. They got some nice-looking young linebackers. Chris Paul, I thought, really came on strong second half of the season. Jordan Crooks has got a lot of promise. Manny Powell, both those guys are going to be sophomores next year because they played in more than 4 games. Caden Henley will be a redshirt freshman. Then you got Carson Dean, Brad Spence, and Alex Sanford coming in out of the freshman class. Cornerback will be something interesting to watch too. What's Ladarius Bishop going to do? Ladarius Bishop is a redshirt. He could be a redshirt super senior next year and also still have a medical hardship available to him. Malik Chavis, I would list him as a cornerback. I guess you could list him as a safety too. Oh, you know what I did here? I didn't add Hudson Clark to safety, so I've actually got one more. So I've got an error on this that I'm just now noticing because I moved him from cornerback and I didn't put him at safety. So I've got to fix that. But, what's Dwight McGlothern going to do? There's been some talk about him maybe eyeing the NFL. You got Kari Johnson, Kewan Parker. Those are a couple of guys to watch, obviously, not starters who've been in the program for a while. Jalen Lewis, and then you got Jalen Braxton, Dallas Young, and R.J. Johnson coming in. Safety. I used to never talk about guys that might or might not transfer, but you have to now. It's changed so much. But I never wanted to, say, hey, this guy should consider leaving. I never did that before, but now you have to. Simeon Blair, does he come back? Does Trent Gordon come back? Does Jalen Catalon come back? There's been all kinds of talk about Jalen Catalon might do this or that. Who knows? Sam Pittman kind of indicated he felt like they were in a good place with Catalon. We'll see. Zach Zymus, guy who's been here for a while and hadn't played a whole lot. Ja'Cory Turner, been here a couple years now. Jaden Johnson. Anthony Brown. TJ Metcalf, Christian Ford, and Dylan Haas. All guys that are coming in. And you got Reed Bauer, Max Fletcher at punter. Reed Bauer could come back for a super senior year. Cam Little will be a junior. Eli Stein, who hurt his finger, didn't play in the last game. So that gives you 42 on offense right now, 45 on defense, 4 specialists, and 91 total. You can have 85 total on scholarship. 85 total. So this is obviously going to change quite a bit. But I do need to update that because I didn't put Hudson Clark back over at safety. Y'all want to talk to Curtis? Oh, Curtis Wilkerson. Curtis has been down and out. He has not been feeling well, but he has pushed on through because he's a trooper. He's a dog. But he's not been in on the healthy side of things throughout this holiday weekend. Let's see what he's got to say. Curtis, how you doing?
Hey, Trey. I guess all things considered, I'm doing just fine.
You've had a rough go at it, brother.
It's been a rough few days. I think we're on the back end of it, though. Yeah. So for that, I'm excited.
And Michelle coming around, she feeling better too?
She is, yeah. Good. She's up and at him today. I think she turned the corner yesterday, so hopefully she stays on the right trajectory too.
Good deal. So switching over to Arkansas basketball, they dropped a little bit here in the latest AP Top 25 poll, but man, Maui was a lot of fun. And it was a fun way. I mean, like, it could have been better if Arkansas had beaten Missouri, I guess, but as far as basketball goes, I mean, 3 really fun games to watch, and I felt like we learned a lot about this team also.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think they really grew up right before our eyes there. You know, coming into the season, I think if you had told me Arkansas would go 2-1 down there in Maui, I'd take that, you know, every single time, especially if, you know, I knew they weren't going to have Nick Smith Jr. So I really didn't know what to expect from Arkansas. I think coming into it, we were kind of wondering, you know, against better competition, what were they going to be able to bring to the table offensively in terms of consistency? And they scored it better in those 3 games than they did in the previous 3 in that homestand. So I think that was a really positive sign. You know, Anthony Black's breakout, he was incredible. I mean, it's kind of like a star being born right before your eyes there. With some of his performances. So, yeah, I mean, I thought some really great stuff there from the Hogs. And, you know, I wish they would have pulled out that Creighton game too. I thought it was just it was like a tournament type of atmosphere. You know, you got a young group like that who battled through a lot of adversity and went tooth and nail with a team that's really, I mean, Creighton was good. So, you know, it's a veteran team with a lot of experience that executes the way they do. For Arkansas to be in a dogfight with them until the end, I thought was impressive. And then to rally back, you could tell how tired they were in that San Diego State game. But they kind of fought through it there and caught a second wind. And sometimes you just got to scrap out an ugly one and find a way. And that's exactly what they did. Kamani Johnson, the unlikely hero there. But, yeah, I think a lot of positives that came out of Maui for the Razorbacks. They did drop a couple spots in the AP poll, but I think that's more about, you know, a couple teams like Purdue and UConn who just had outrageous weeks at their tournaments, more than it was a reflection on Arkansas necessarily not playing so well.
How many people out there look back in your group thread with your boys during the game, San Diego State game, were trashing Kamani Johnson midway through the game and then totally changed your tune on it? I mean, that guy, you know, people are like looking back on their texts like, oh, yeah, Kamani, that's like I always said. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And that's awesome for him. You know, there's not many people, I don't think, who would, you know, be able to set out to be a senior. You're one of 2 returners on the team, and you set out the first 2 games. Don't even take your shooting shirt off. There was a game earlier in the season where everybody got in, even the walk-ons. Kamani didn't even get in.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of wild to think about. Maybe it was the Louisville game. I have to go back and check. But, you know, to stay ready, he's one of the most engaged guys on the bench. And then when you get your number called, you come in, you just know what you're going to get from him. He's just going to be knocking guys around the paint. He's going to bring some edge and play with physicality. He's all over the offensive glass. You know, for him to get that tip in, man, that was just awesome. And, you know, that's a huge moment there. But I think what really changed things for Arkansas, he just knows what he's doing out there defensively. You know, some of the other guys that have been playing at center, probably more talented, have higher upside. I think they're going to be great players for the Hogs, but Kamani just knows where to be. He understands the rotations, the coverages that they're trying to do. All of a sudden, they were locking up San Diego State. They come back and win the game. So really cool moment for him. I was happy to see that. Yeah,
really cool. Follow Curtis Wilkerson at @KurtWilkerson_ on Twitter. Does a great job covering Razorback basketball and all sports as well. I'll tell you something else that I took away from that, Curtis, is to me, like, Creighton may get a little bit better, San Diego State may get a little bit better, but Arkansas should get a lot better. You know, like a lot better. The ceiling for Arkansas versus some of these teams that they played who are more finished products, I think is something notable as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Arkansas is unbelievably talented, but they were talking about it the entire time. It's still very much a work in progress, and it is. It's just so many new faces coming together. You can tell some of the things, especially offensively, not quite in sync yet. Still too many turnovers, and that just comes with experience and playing together on the floor. Defensively, we've seen how talented they can be, how disruptive they can be. When you play a team like Creighton that's just so efficient with everything they do, they understand reads and can pick you apart. We started to see there were some holes there. So, Arkansas is not the sum of all their parts yet. And, they're also missing arguably the best freshman in the country. So, yeah, I agree with that. I think the potential for this team come March, the ceiling is a lot higher. There's a lot more room for growth there. So, knock on wood that these guys stay bought in and get fully healthy. And, man, they really, really could be a special group by the end of the year.
Troy tonight, 7 o'clock. San Jose State Saturday, December 3rd. Tuesday, UNC Greensboro, December 6th. And then you get a little bit of a break before Saturday, December 10th, Oklahoma in Tulsa. Do we see Nick Smith by the Oklahoma game?
I think so. Barring anything unforeseen, we finally got some pretty good updates there from Eric Musselman and his presser over the weekend. I know it was driving people crazy in Maui. Nick's out there warming up with the team. He's dunking it in warm-ups, and he's jumping, 3 feet in the air. When big plays are happening there on the bench, everybody's like, why is this guy not playing? It's just part of the process, man. You got to go through it. You got to get comfortable with, different stages and different steps of the rehab progress and getting back through practices and all that. And then he's got to get final clearance. And sounds like he's got a doctor's appointment today, which is Monday for those who are listening a little bit later. And, hopefully that means, maybe he's cleared and we see him for a few minutes tonight. I don't know. If not then maybe we get to see him over the weekend. But the main thing is, I think he's getting close, and that's good. And I think it'd be best case scenario for the Razorbacks. You can get him back, knock off some of the rust over these next 2 or 3 games, and have him full go for Oklahoma, who's a pretty good team, man. They just won a big event in their little feast week thing. That's a projected tournament team. That's the last big opportunity for the Razorbacks before SEC play starts. So hopefully, knock on wood, fingers crossed, do a Nick Smith dance, whatever you got to do for positive vibes. But hopefully we see him out there in the very near future. All
right, Curtis, anything else you want to add?
I got nothing. At all.
I'm glad you got through without getting too winded.
I feel pretty good. I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah. All right, brother. Appreciate you.
Cool. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, everybody. That's Kurt Wilkerson. Again, follow him at @KurtWilkerson_. He's the HawgSports senior analyst. Really covers just about everything when it comes to Razorback sports, but his basketball expertise is just on an absolute different level. And if you want to follow Curtis's basketball information, then you need a VIP membership at HawgSports, and it's 75% off right now. Curtis breaks down. He does player grades. He does, off the dribble stuff, which is like his instant reaction stuff. He does all kinds of VIP breakdowns. Curtis has a lot of history with basketball. He's a former NAIA player and coach, even head coach. He was an interim head coach also, but he has got a lot of experience when it comes to basketball, and of course grew up in this state from McCrory, Arkansas. Also, HawgSports is 75% off. So join the #1 Arkansas sports and recruiting site for 75% off for the entire year. Breaks down to just $224 a month, 52 cents a week, 7 cents a day, and is billed at only $26.85 for the entire year for unmatched Insider Razorback coverage. But hurry, it ends tonight. Again, if you like what we do for free, you like the free content that we put out, check out our VIP stuff. This is the time to do it. And man, is it the time to do it, because it is a wild, wild period for Razorback sports. And not just Arkansas, but throughout the country. And that's something that we've kind of tried to impress. Like, I think this stuff is happening just about everywhere. Everywhere that's had a coach in the system for a little while that still doesn't have the newness level, I think this kind of stuff is happening everywhere where you hear about players who, are upset with their situation, or, you hear there's a problem with the locker room and all this kind of stuff. And you know what? The good news is for Arkansas is all that stuff can be cut out. It can be changed quickly. You can turn your entire roster over if you wanted to because there's no more 25 limit. You used to only have to be able to bring in 25 players, and then for how many players you had transfer out after December 5th is up to 7, so 32 total. Then you could add transfers. Or high school players. You could add more players. But regardless, that's all gone. That was like a one-year rule, and we've already changed that. There's been so much stuff that's changed in college football the last 7 years or so. It's really insane. And this is probably the biggest change ever. 85 maximum now, not 25. You just have to stay under 85. The transfer portal window, you can bring in immediate help. And you can basically buy players. I'm thinking about changing, instead of saying so-and-so is committed to so-and-so, and just changing it to so-and-so has struck a deal with so-and-so. So-and-so has come to terms with such-and-such university. I mean, that's how much, the language has got to change now. We are in professional sports basically right now. It's not college sports anymore. And a lot of stuff changes with that when you go to an idea of amateurism to professionalism. What else is there to say? We want to see if we have see if anybody can tick me off with their comments. By the way, I wanted to ask everybody to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We had a couple of guys throw us a 1-star review and dropped our rating down. Appreciate that for the 1-star reviews. Dropped our ratings down from a 5.0 to a 4.9. So help us boost it back up. If you haven't done so already and you like the show, help us boost it back up. Go to Apple Podcasts, throw us a 5-star review, leave something nice, let other people know what to expect about the show. But we'd like to get bumped back up because we had a couple of people disappointed with college football season, I'm sure, or something like that, and threw us a 1-star review. If you think it's a 1-star review, that's fine. Throw us a 1-star review. But a lot of that's trolling, I think. I hope you guys like the show more than 1 star. Okay. Do A.J. Green and Dominic Johnson stay? I hope so. Where are we at here? Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe right now. Alex Hamilton says, if Jacoby Criswell enters the portal, do we have a realistic shot at him? I would think absolutely yes. I think that would be a guy to keep an eye on. Jacoby Criswell's from Arkansas, obviously. Georgia Tech transfer quarterback also, I think, might be a guy to keep an eye on. I mean, there's a lot. Any quarterback that enters the transfer portal, I would keep an eye on him. Trey, do you think this team can recruit via the transfer portal and high school kids and bounce back next year? Absolutely. Look at Ole Miss added like 17. Missouri added a bunch. LSU added a ton. Yeah, you can absolutely go out and build a team. Look at how much of an impact. Let's look at the guys they added last year. Dwight McGlothern, Latavius Brini, Drew Sanders, Jordan Dominic, Landon Jackson. I mean, that's just defense right there. All of those guys made a significant impact. Pretty much all of them were starters this year. Pretty much all of those guys started for Arkansas. Jaden Hazelwood, Matt Landers. Am I missing somebody? Terry Hampton. I forgot about Terry Hampton. There's another one. I mean, all of these guys made a tremendous impact with Arkansas this year. Even Cade Fortin, who was a walk-on quarterback, played a pretty notable role as a backup for a good part of the season. Dustin Hoofman says, sad to hear about Bumper Pool's career being over. Definitely was an exemplary Hog, played with a lot of heart. Yep, we want to give a shout-out definitely to Bumper Pool, who just had surgery, his first of 2 surgeries to repair his hips. Hopefully he gets to play a pro career. I know he wants to do that in his heart, but I also know he's into coaching. But all-time tackle leader at Arkansas and just a great Razorback from a great Razorback family as well. Pre-game focus and team preparation before each game is the number one problem. They're not mentally ready to play. Why do you think that? Because of the multiple 3-and-outs to start games? Yeah, I would agree. There's a problem there starting things out. It's like clockwork, 3-and-out on offense. Hearing Coach Bo to Memphis, HC, says Kevin Venable. Mark Douglas. Let's also keep this in mind. 3 years is a long time to stay at one school as a coordinator. Arkansas was one of 8 Power 5 programs to have all 3 coordinators coming back. I think just the offensive and defensive coordinators coming back for year 3. One of 8. So that's a long time for anybody to stay. The biggest problem with the offense, I mean, obviously they got off to a slow start, but if you look at the numbers from last year to this year, they're not that different. And last year they won 9 games. The problem, even the red zone numbers aren't different, but the problem was the goal line. They struggled dramatically at the goal line. Losing KJ Jefferson for a couple of games and having him as a shell of himself for another game. Those are big problems with the offense. Everybody wants to say the play calling was awful all of a sudden. It wasn't perfect. I don't expect perfection with Kendall Briles. I don't expect him to call a perfect game. But there were some pretty consistent things. The goal line was a problem, and I don't know if the goal line was necessarily Kendall Briles. I didn't like the Trey Knox under center play. I thought that was just completely burning that. But I thought that they had to kick a field goal there because they couldn't move him. Why couldn't you move him? This is a veteran offensive line that returned 4 starters, and the other guy's a senior, the new guy. Why couldn't you move him? You had 1st and 2. Why couldn't you move them? Because Kendall Briles didn't know how to call plays or because the offensive line couldn't get a push? I know Missouri has a good defensive line. No SEC team other than Tennessee, no Power 5 team, Tennessee and Kansas State. Those are the only teams that put it in the end zone 3 times or more than 3 times, and now Arkansas. So, to me, I think a lot of it is – like, why couldn't you get a push? Norman Hunt says, I actually thought the Hogs would be 7-5 or 8-4 if everything went their way. The thing is, nothing went their way. Like, all the close games they lost, aside from Cincinnati. Mike Warner says, fire Pittman. Norman Hunt says, go troll elsewhere. Dustin Odell says, all the people wanted fire when don't remember the Chad Morris era. Yeah. Oh, look at all the infighting. Everybody's mad at each other on here. That's just the way things go right now. Band together. Band together, Razorback fans. Pick up the QB from Michigan, says John D. George. Mitchell Robbins says, look at all the money paid out to Sam. Going, get it, going. Look at all the money paid out to Sam. Going, get it, going. I'm not sure what you mean there. Sam is, I think, the 11th highest paid coach in the SEC. Cedric White says you shouldn't judge any coach performance based off what Morris did. That's true. The reference point for Arkansas football success should not be the worst period in Arkansas history. Mike Warner says Pittman sucks. John D. George says, what teams are going to recruit high school players? The good ones. Arkansas is going to recruit mostly high school players, but they're going to recruit a ton of junior college, or not junior college, but transfer portal players. It's got to be, I mean, it's almost getting to a point where like half of your class is transfers and half class recruits. It just kind of got to be that way. Dustin Odell says the fact that last year we overachieved, people just assumed that we would improve on that. That's a very good point, Dustin, because they had a ton of super seniors last year. They would not have had Grant Morgan or Hayden Henry, or plenty of other guys on that team last year. Myron Cunningham, who played significant roles for them because they were able to come back for an extra year. And Arkansas was one of the leading teams in terms of players coming back for their super senior season. It's a good point. I don't think there's any mistaking, though, but Pittman's got to win next year. What he does this offseason is going to be absolutely critical to his future of the program. And I'll say this, too. People know I like Sam Pittman. I've liked the guy since he was offensive line coach at Arkansas. I hope he does well. I think most people do. But I also know that I have a job to do, and that's to report what I hear and what the news is and what's happening. Okay? And those two things cannot get conflicted with each other. I always think of myself as kind of unique in the sense that I'm a media person who also has some passion for this team. I mean, I grew up here. I went to school there. I'm just not going to deny, like some people do, that I care what happens. But I also know that when I'm going to be critical, I'm also going to be sitting in the front row of the press conference looking eye to eye to coaches and players and asking questions. And that's just what the job is. But yeah, I would like Sam Pittman to succeed. I think that would be the best thing for Arkansas. But at the same time, I have to report what's happening. Okay. Lane New says, I've been a Razorback fan since I was about 2 years old. The San Jose State game was my first ever Razorback game that I attended in Fayetteville. Let me tell you, we have a long way to fall to terrible football. Yeah, that's true. Well, since he inherited Morris's mess, I think it's only fair. They did do a good job recruiting, though. I mean, there's some really good players on this team that staff recruited. There's some good. Mike Warner says, the only thing Pittman is good at is excuses. Dustin Hoofman says, usually the ignorant ones are the ones that speak the loudest. Yeah. Angel Morgan says, it's a money game, folks. Yep, it's all about money. And let me tell you something, too. I think Arkansas is behind when you talk about collectives and things like that. I mean, yes, it's great to have the charities and those things. That's tremendous 4th and 25 fun. What the Hunts are doing with basketball and all that stuff. There's player-led NLI. Like you can, they have like their own little subscription thing that's kind of going around the country. I don't know that that's doing super strong. But where I see Arkansas lacking is just the straight up like, hey, everybody donate money to this collective and we're just going to give it to the players as much as we possibly can. Pay the taxes on it, I guess, and give it, like there's the flagship deal that the university does that's, it's not really the same thing, but like in terms of like the deal where you just get everybody to donate money, like, 30,000 fans to donate a couple $100, where's that? Trey, we need a show dedicated to explaining what to expect in this new portal situation. I thought about just doing a live show on Monday. I don't know if I can do that, though, because I've got all the work. But it would kind of be like this. I don't know. It'd kind of just be people watching me work. So I don't know if that would really work. Brandon McCoy says, I don't catch many lies, but I'm starting a petition to change Quincy's name to Quincy Smackadude. That's good. Ever since he blew up, that block and still made the tackle. Next time I talk to Quincy, I'll ask him if he likes Quincy Smackadude. The 3 and outs are all on Browse. Nah, not all of them. I mean, there's been some drops, and there's been some, bad execution and things. It's not all on him. KJ's throwing an errant pass or something. Trey, what's the chance for Rocket leaves for a final year at Bama or Georgia? From what I understand, Rocket is all in on Arkansas. UNLV just fired the head coach. He was OC at Oregon before UNLV. Malik announced he was leaving. Okay, that probably happened right when I was doing that. So just to tell you the inside, let me make sure that's right before I get ahead of myself. Okay. All right. So just to tell you a little bit, like on our message board, we have a guy that has, knows what's going on in the inner workings of the program and told us earlier this morning that Malik Hornsby is like cleaning out his locker right now. Let's see. Yep, so that happened like 30 minutes ago, and this was this morning. So he's not entered the transfer portal because you can't. I lost my spot. You can't enter the transfer portal because it's not open until December 5th. But he announced, yes, that he will be. All right, I think we pretty much covered everything. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. One last time, I want to remind you there's the 75% off deal. So that ends tonight at 7. What time does that end? 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. It breaks down to $224 a month. I've lost all my stuff. It breaks down to $224 a month, 52 cents a week, 7 cents a day. Go sign up. There's no promo code or anything. HawgSports.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Hey, You got a dad or an uncle or a grandpa or something you think might like it, you can get them signed up as well. HawgSports.com, 75% off Cyber Monday sale, ends tonight. Last I checked, we were leading the network, and I want that to continue. Love to see Arkansas at the top. All right, everybody. Sign up at OzarksGo also. OzarksGo, OzarksGo.net/Hawg, HAWG. You can call them at 479-684-4900 as well to OzarksGo. They offer 100 megabits per second up and down or 1,000 megabits per second up and down. My experience with these guys has been phenomenal. Like, it blows everything away. They don't jack your price up year 1 to year 2. They don't jack your price up year 1 to year 2. You'll pay the same next year that you play this year. And so many people out there try to get you on a low rate, and then they jack you up. And then the internet doesn't work, or you keep buffering and all this stuff. No problem with OzarksGo. You'll be glad you switched over if you haven't already. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, and we'll catch you next time.